Skimo's romantic.
Hello and welcome to Skimo Gold. This is the premier podcast and YouTube show for ski mountaineering interviews and race analysis. Thanks to Camp for supporting Skimo Gold. We love Camp because they are racers, adventurers, and mountain people who have been supporting everything ski mountaineering all over the world since the very beginning, including this very podcast. Thank you, Camp. All right, folks, it is time for the first and probably not the last Skimo Gold trivia contest. Here's the deal. Listen to this episode, and if you can send me the answer to the following question, if you're the first one to send it via direct message to @Skimo Gold on Instagram, you will receive this very hat. I will mail it to you. Look on YouTube. This is a Skimo Gold podcast hat, trucker style, netting. You know, it's got the clip back, everything you need. I'm going to mail this to the first person who can send me on direct message at Skimo Gold on Instagram. The question is, listen to this episode and tell me which person mentioned in this episode was part of a fantastic reality TV show in 2003, and what was the title of that reality TV show. One of the best shows I've ever seen. One of the first reality TV shows, in fact. It was very good. It culminated in summiting a little mountain that we call Mount Everest. So tell me, who from this episode was in that TV show, and what is the title of the TV show to get the cap? Great episode for you today, talking with Catie Friend. You know her as the main voice of ISMF Skimo. She also knows everything about it. She knows all the athletes. She knows the trivia. Catie always shows up ready to play. Catie and I are talking about a number of races over the past week. Let's see, there was the Youth World Championship. There was, at the same time, a Senior World Cup. Those were both at Puy Saint Vincent. We talk about the Tour du Rutor. We talk about the Elk Mountains Grand Traverse, the North American Championships. We talk about the Asia Championships, and even more. We also give you a little bit of preview of the upcoming World Cup finals happening over there in Villars this week. Dial into those on ISMF. Catie is doing some commentary, something fun to check out over the weekend. All right, folks, great to be with you as always, and it's time to roll on Skimo Gold. Catie Friend, welcome back to Skimo Gold. It is awesome to see you as always. We are back again for some more race analysis. It's been a big week in Skimo. There's been a lot going on in Europe with the Youth World Championship and a World Cup. We've had the North American Championships up there in British Columbia. We had the Elk Mountains Grand Traverse here in Colorado. Colorado feels like a desert out there. I'm out running and biking, full-on heat training, and the ski race happened. It wasn't only skiing. There was a lot of running as well, but it did happen.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of intrepid athletes made it from Crested Butte to Aspen, so we will hear about that, and also the Tour du Rutor, fantastic, big, epic 2-day stage race. So a lot to discuss. Catie, what's on your mind, and what have you been up to over the last week? You've been there on site with the action over at the Puy Saint Vincent, Puy Saint Vincent. I looked up Puy because you hear this word all over the
Yeah.
place. A Puy is a volcano or a high outcrop is my brief understanding. Catie, what was happening at the Puy, and what do you know?
Well, I hate to disappoint, but I actually wasn't in Puy Saint Vincent because I had to go to England to support my other child,
That's right.
who
Okay.
was playing rugby. So in Puy Saint Vincent, my son was there. My husband was supporting him, so I cannot give you
Mm,
firsthand
okay.
chat. But
Secondhand though. Your
I
family
hear,
was
yeah,
there.
secondhand. And from what I hear, conditions were the snow conditions were great. There was more snow came in, so actual racing was a bit challenging. But as you probably saw from the live streaming of the individual, I mean, what a glorious day they had there! So gorgeous.
It looked epic, and listeners, check it out. Go to the ISMF YouTube channel. You won't hear Catie's voice. You will hear it next week. More to come on that. But they had a great long live stream of the senior individual races, and then a whole bunch of highlights from senior races, and wonderfully also the youth races. And those highlights are awesome. The courses look epic. They're technical. We got wind blowing, it looks like these kids are skiing across the North Pole or something. And then I loved watching Catie the downhill skiing. It looked really challenging, and to watch these athletes, both the seniors and the youth, how they are skiing these skinny 65 underfoot skis through just really hard steep terrain was super cool to watch. And maybe I'll share a little insight later. Maybe this course is being vetted for the Olympics in 2030. I heard. I think that would be awesome because it really showcases just the epic nature of Skimo.
Yeah, well, my son was there competing in the under 18s competition, and he was also there the year before. And it was a great course last year. He said it was even better this year. And they used most of the same course as the seniors, obviously a lot less distance, but it's really fantastic. And as you say, the skiing is just incredible. I think it got more and more difficult as it went on because once the senior men had gone, the senior women, by the time the juniors came along, this is talking about the individual race, of course.
Mhm.
A lot of it was kind of skied out, but certainly watching the men and the senior women coming down those things, it was reminding me of the old school sort of Robert Antonioli, who is famous, especially in Andorra, because they just always think of him as this like guy who just straight lines it. And there was a lot of that going on. And for anyone who doesn't appreciate how hard that is anyway, it's like about 50 times harder, as you say, in these tiny skis and not very stiff boots. And it's so impressive. And it is, as you say, it is a really glorious part of the world. It's a great course and lots of technical sections. But what was nice is there was elements near the piste, so people could still catch bits of it. And
Mm.
with the drone footage, we were able to see some really spectacular, um, as much of it as we could, all of it, in fact.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a quick interview from Remi Bonnet, the winner as usual in the vertical and the individual. But he said very simply, good feeling, good snow, good course. It seemed like a place that the Skimo athletes were glad to be. Catie, were there any stories from your son, or how did it go for him out there? I know he's been working with Max Drione as a coach, the one and only Max, a friend of the podcast, lovely guest that we've had many times. What was your son's reflection on the experience?
Well, it was a bit of a week for the young British Skimo athlete, the entire British GB Skimo squad,
Yeah, let's hear it.
because he was there to do the individual and the vertical, and he was feeling great on form. And he started off on the individual, was feeling strong, and he came across a young American athlete who had, as it turns out, dislocated his kneecap on the kick turns
Oh my
on
goodness.
the first ascent. And so my son Tristan stopped to help him take his skis off, give him his survival blanket. Another young Czech athlete also stopped to help, and they waited until Oscar Angeloni got there and took over the situation and made sure that he was as stable as could be, given their
Yeah.
young age and what they could achieve
Yep.
in that time. And then he took off again up the hill. This is my son, not the American athlete.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
taken off the mountain. And in his haste to catch up some time on the descent, he hadn't realized that with sort of, I don't know, 70 skiers before him, the seniors had been, the under 20s had been, I think, as well, that the beautiful fresh powder that he had skied on the recce the day before was no longer the beautiful fresh powder. It was really chopped up. And there was a
Yeah.
narrow gap where they brought them onto the piste and then off again. And it had been
Mm.
banked seriously. And he
Mhm.
came in a little hot.
Mm.
And while trying to avoid the compression, he properly sunk into the snow, smacked his glasses into his face,
Oh,
and
man.
cut open his nose. And he thought he
Wow.
was fine, thought he had a nosebleed, skied on, got to the coach's zone where my husband said, "Oh no,
Oh,
game
geez. Yeah.
over." So he was taken to hospital. They glued his face together, but was asked to go back to the medal ceremony that evening because he and the young Czech athlete were given a fair play award and a standing ovation for stopping mid-race to help their fellow
Yeah.
competitor. So that was really lovely. And I've been doing this a very long time and I've never actually heard of that happening. So I was
Wow.
exceptionally proud. And I had lots of lovely messages from Oscar, from lots of people saying
Mhm.
thank you. So it was really nice. I was very proud of him. So anyway, he woke up the next morning and he was a little sore and a bit not sure,
I'm
but he was
sure.
cleared to race. So he took to the start line of the vertical and had his best race ever. So he was thrilled. And he came in the top 30, which was really great. But what he was most thrilled about, well, two things. First of all, his percentage distance between him and the winner, who I believe was an American, Ben Bigwood,
Mm.
I think.
Mhm.
It was much shorter than has been before, smaller percentage. And secondly, he was, because of the weather, they had put all the age groups over the same course. And
Mm.
he was the fastest Brit. He beat both the seniors in the race that day. So
Oh,
he
no
was
way.
thrilled.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was
Yeah.
really excited for that. So yeah, a very exciting week full of lots of learnings and great
Yeah.
stuff.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Catie. I can see you on the screen here and I see you glowing as a parent and like, yes, he had a great outcome and performance, but even more, what a show of character. And that is like, that's the spirit of sport. It's so cool. I think, I can't confirm, I think maybe that injured American may have been Ben Trachtenberg, because I saw that Ben was listed as did not finish in the individual. So shout out to all of those athletes, to the Czech athlete, to your son, to Ben or whoever else, like working together, helping each other. Boy, I'm thinking about your son skiing the skinny skis. I find in those mixed choppy conditions, I'm not an incredible skier, but for me, that's really hard when it's so variable and there's no flotation on those, and it's very easy to find your skis just getting sucked under,
Yeah.
that deeper snow when you hit it and doing that somersault. So I'm glad he's okay. A little bit of glue on the face, probably a cool scar to make for a story. So Catie, thanks for sharing that. A little more about the youth here. I wanted to start with this just to emphasize, like, I am so impressed and inspired by these young people, kids, young adults out there working hard. These probably many of them are future Olympians, we might say. I want to give a personal shout out to Spain's Mariona Rovira Roca, who finished seventh
Mm-hmm.
in the U18 sprint race and in some of the other races. But Mariona is a teenager who I've known since she was young, the child of
Ah,
Emma Roca, who many listeners may know. Emma was one of my best friends before she passed away. 5 years ago, after a battle with cancer. Just so great to see Mariona out there flourishing and working hard. So way to go,
nice.
Mariona. And I have email here from Sarah Cookler, who is the head of sport for Team USA Skimo. Sarah's
Mm-hmm.
played a big role in, creating the Solitude World Cup and getting
Yeah.
all of these American youth over there. So I'd like to read, if I can, some of her reflections.
Mm.
It's a bit, but I may make it brief, but it's really good stuff. So Sarah says, what a week of racing in Puy Saint Vincent, France. It was a fantastic event. It started with a spectacular individual course, which they were displaying as the hopeful 2030 Olympic individual course. As you said, Catie, full of technical uphills, spectacular views, and challenging descents. And the week wrapped up with a really cool mixed relay course as well, which I
Mm.
found watching the highlights. So Sarah notes that that mixed relay had an off-piste first climb, single track through the forest along a ridge, and then a technical steep run that was fully visible to the spectators. This was a great blend of ski mountaineering with the shorter Olympic discipline, and boy, was that an exciting race. Away from the quote, Sarah, I agree. Just watching those highlights, it looks super cool to have that mix of, the second descent was the gates, but this one descent, it was moguls, it was off piste, like athletes were taking different lines. Yes, let's bring that to the Olympics because it looks so cool. So back to Sarah, she says, I, along with all of Team USA Skimo, are so proud of the US Skimo youth team. The growth is exceptional. Many of these athletes got their first taste of Skimo racing in Europe 3 or 4 years ago. Since then, the training has been focused and the goal is clear to see 4 podiums and an additional top five results throughout the week was exciting. And these are some of the big results. Again, all these athletes, I wish we could just read off every single kid who was there from every country because like they all deserve it. I'm a little biased towards Team USA and that's what I know about. So here's USA had big results. Ben Bigwood, and this is from your son's race, skied away as the U18 men's individual world champion, while
Mm-hmm.
McCall Birkinshaw crossed the line in the individual in second place. McCall continued her week with another 4th place in the vertical and 2nd in the sprint. And Team USA was able to enter 3 very strong mixed relay teams on Sunday. And let's see, the teams of Helen Desmond and Ben Bigwood crossed the line in 2nd, later to be bumped to 3rd due to a 30-second penalty. The team of Carson Lays and Anders Carlson had a strong 4th place finish. I think that was in the B final. And then in the A final, McCall Birkinshaw and Landon Jacob. This was exciting, Catie. I don't
Mm.
know if you saw this. Again, listeners, watch the video because there's a lot of back and forth. The finish is super exciting. Spain was in 2nd place, and this is one of those finishes where it ends with the male skier who has to put the skins on and then skin, 10 yards to the finish. Man, I felt bad for this young man. He starts skinning and the skin falls off and he has to stop and put it on,
Mm.
passed by 2 teams. And this can happen. We saw it happen to Cam Smith in the World Cup this year. Like his ski goes flying off and no
Yeah.
one was around Cam. In this case, who knows how that skin falls off? Maybe it's not in the notch or whatever. But anyway, we had Team USA, I believe, came up to 2nd place. And that was again McCall Birkinshaw and Landon Jacobs. So again, just lots of great finishes. And my final point, I want to just mention all the American youth there, regardless of the results. There was Finnegan Brown, Max Trachtenberg, I think is the pronunciation. We previously noted Ben Trachtenberg. I assume they're brothers. Joshua Itoy, apologies if I get any of the pronunciations wrong. Ashley Adkins, Stella Gillespie, and Owen Crandall. Let's see. And I think I've mentioned everyone. So apologies if I missed anyone, but hats off to all these kids from all the countries. Just it was awesome to see. Catie, any final
Yeah.
thoughts on the
Yes,
Youth
I
World
do
Cup?
have final thoughts because the
Yeah.
Youth World Championships nation rankings I have in front of me. In the
Okay.
World Championships, Italy first, 2nd place, United States of America, and third
Wow.
place Germany. And in the overall Youth World Cup, the nation ranking, first Italy, second Spain, third United States of America. So there we go. It's been an amazing season. And I knew this. I didn't predict this at the end of last year, that the American youth
Yeah.
are the way forward. They are just so strong and so brilliant.
Yeah, wow. Team
So
USA coming a
congratulations.
lot. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these kids I think are based in the Salt Lake area. They've many of them been doing the Silver Fork youth program, so awesome to see that. In any Team GB, Catie, we haven't heard as much about them on the World Cup, et cetera. Do you know like how many
Well,
youth were there, or I think
yes,
next Olympics more
I, I
more
am I am
athletes are
the
coming.
mother. I am the
Okay,
mother
so
of the
one
entire Youth
one
GB
youth.
squad.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
That's it.
All right.
There's just him. But it's a start, and I know they're on
Yep.
the lookout for more. So any kids who want a Skimo, who have a GB passport,
Yep.
are eligible to Skimo and are based in a place where they can contribute, let me know, because I know that GB Skimo is really looking, because obviously it's the beginning of the next 4-year cycle. And
Yeah.
it would be amazing to have some sort of presence in the next 4 years, probably looking more at the 8-year thing, if we're that lucky to get that far
Mhm.
as a sport. But regardless of the Olympics, regardless of the Olympics, it would be amazing to have more GB Skimo,
Yeah.
youth or seniors, in fact.
Yeah. Awesome. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing those rankings. Okay. So way to go, youth. On to the seniors. Catie, do you want to call out any of those results from the
Yeah, should we
Senior World
start?
Cup at Puy Saint Vincent? Yeah. Start
Yeah,
wherever you want.
let's start with the individual race. We'll go in the order of the races.
Yep.
Start with the men, dominated as usual by Remi Bonnet, who finished in a time of 1 hour 26:17. William Bomardian and Xavier Gachet of France came in 1:27:14 and 1:28:33. And just wanted to mention that in fourth and fifth, Thibaut Anselme and Michele Boscacci of France and Italy, respectively.
Yep.
And in the women's category, once again, the dominance remains for Axelle Gachet-Mollaret, although it is only her first race of the individual race of the season. And we'll come on to that hopefully afterwards. In 1 hour and 15:53, it's a slightly shorter race for the women. They had one less of the smaller loops to do. Alba de Silvestro of Italy in second place, Emily Harrop of France in third, and then fourth and fifth, Johanna Himmer of Austria and Giulia Murada of Italy.
Hmm. Yes, lots of familiar names there. It sounded on the highlights like a close race, a little bit of back and forth between Alba and Emily. And again, just super cool courses. A couple American women came over for that event. Haley Hafman was in 17th and Gwen Rudy in 24th. So both of those women coming off very strong showings a couple weeks before at the USA National Championships.
And I would like to make special mention, since we're going by our nationalities,
Absolutely.
the GB racer Ian Innes finished
Mm.
24th, and that's the first time a Brit has ever been in the top 30 in a World Cup race. So congratulations to Ian. That was a really incredible race.
All right. Way to go, Ian. Do you know, is Ian based in GB or is he living over in the Alps? Or I'm just curious,
He
some of these, Max Drion racing for Belgium, I think he mostly lives, I think it's Switzerland. You know, maybe there's back and forth. I don't think there's tons of Skimo happening on the island of GB from what I can tell.
well, there is a Skimo Scotland. I have
Oh,
a
okay.
Skimo Scotland running one-piece race suit, which I'm very proud of. It's very old-fashioned
Awesome.
now, but I love it.
Sweet.
They are consistently having to cancel their races because there's often not
Yep.
enough snow, but it's a very,
Okay.
they do absolutely do their very best. But Ian is actually based in Chamonix. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that, but he is based out here.
Yep.
The vertical race, again, double. Remi Bonnet won again in the men. And interesting second and third place here, Anselme Damevin of France and Antonio Alcalde of Spain. Now,
Hmm.
because I mostly stream the short races, the shorter disciplines, there are sometimes names that I don't get to talk about very much. So I did a little bit of looking on these, and Anselme Damevin Actually, I was second overall in the Pyramenta with Samuel Key not long ago. So he's a silver medalist in the long distance world championships. They won the first and the fourth stage. He was also the under 23 vertical world champion in Boitaoul in 2023, just ahead of Thomas Bussard and Paul Verbniak when they were all under 23 athletes.
Yep.
Antonio Alcalde, seventh in last season's vertical overall season in the Globe title, and fifth in Andorra at the vertical in Andorra this season. So, but really great to see some new names up there. And Aurélien Gay and Paul Verbniak of Switzerland and Austria were fourth and fifth respectively. Aurélien Gay, of course, Remi Bonnet's teammate for the upcoming PDG, Patrouille des Glaciers.
Yes. All right. Thanks for that research too. One American there, John Rowan, came over to do the vertical. John, I think vertical specialist, finished in 21st place. So good job, John. I hope you had a good journey. And back to Paul Verbniak, we mentioned him a number of times, fifth in this race. I've been curious to see. I know last year he did cycling races with the Little Trek development team and did some of the not the Grand Tours, but he did some big 1 week stage races. Just always curious to see how that goes, being a cycling fan. So watch out for that name, folks. Paul, coming at you, sure. Summer, winter.
Well, actually, interestingly, our other cyclist, Skimo athlete turned cyclist, turned back to Skimo, is Anton Palzer, who went to race you might know what team, I can't remember, but was properly racing, and he has come back to Skimo and I think just won the Tour du Rutor at the weekend, but we're going to come on to that too, I know. So it's not an unusual thing to see cyclists.
And yes, he did. Yeah, a little preview. Yeah, and I think maybe... Yeah, I think he was maybe on the Bora team, as I recall.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yes, and he was also on the podium for the GC, I think, for the Pyramenta. So exciting times to see him back. Yeah. The women's vertical, unless you have anything else you want to say.
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. Women's vertical won again by Axelle Gachet-Mollaret. Second place, Emily Harrop. Alba Di Silvestro in third, Margot Ravenel in fourth, and a name I did not know, Candice Fertin of France in fifth.
Yeah, no, I had not seen. Way to go, Candice, getting on there.
Yeah. So that's that. I think a good sort of the 30 seconds ahead, both Remi and Axelle were at least 30 seconds or so ahead of their competition. But looked like a close battle between again, Alba and Emily in the women's vertical too. There were only 9 seconds. No, it was not true. It was almost a minute, actually. Emily was ahead. My apologies. Got my timings wrong there. But yes.
Oh, that's all right.
Exciting to see. It's a shame there just haven't been that many. I know we've just gone past the individual, but only a couple of individuals this season due to various bits and pieces, but there we go. On to the sprint, which was the final day for the seniors. The juniors carried on, but the seniors had their sprint race, and the men's race was won by Thibaut Anselme. Was his, I think, his second win this season. Actually, he won in Boitaoul as well. Thomas Bussard, who was the silver medalist at the European Championships for Switzerland, and Nicolo Canclini back on the podium. Great to see that from Italy. Nicolo Canclini from Bormio, in fact, back on the podium at a World Cup. So that's awesome. Jon Kissler in fourth, I beg your pardon. And Luca Tomazzoni, my top tip, my hot up and coming athlete for next season, was in fifth.
Yeah.
Watch this space. And that's, I think, his third final this season, if I'm not mistaken. And in the women's, Emily Harrop
Hang on, let me
continues.
one
Oh,
point for the
go
men's.
back, go
If
back, go
you
back.
watch, watch
Yes.
these highlights, folks. It looks again just cool, dynamic course. One thing, I don't know, maybe it's not funny. It was interesting. I think it was in the semifinal. It looked like Nikita Filipov. I think he was on the boot pack. You're running up this hill on, the steep snow, and you got your skis on your back sticking up, and it appears that his skis hit a tree branch and
Oh,
got like at least one of them yanked off his back or off the pack, and he took a few steps and he
that's
had
what
to turn
happened.
around. And so that we've seen, Filipov has been in most of the finals this year, off and on the podium. All it took to slow down Nikita Filipov was a tree branch. But hang tough, Nikita. We know you will be back, maybe
Exactly.
even next week.
Actually, it's an interesting point because there were some big names in the sprint that were not in the final. Well, Inigo
Mhm.
Martinez was 6th, Ott Ferrer 7th, Nikita 11th, Arnaud Lieta 13th, Paul Verbniak. I only mention him
Yep.
not necessarily because he is a sprint specialist at 15th, but because he was 2 places ahead of Oriol Cardona-Cole, who was 17th.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and tucked in there in 36th, I thought we might like to mention Remi Bonnet, who chucked in some sprint expertise for some sprint experience for
Yeah.
presumably for the points.
Yep.
So yeah, and the women's race, Emily Harrop continues her World Cup dominance in the races that she has been in, obviously. That
Yep.
is pretty much 100% record last season and this season in the races that she has competed in the World Cup. And if she carries that on this weekend, this week coming Saturday, I believe. I should know that because I'm actually commentating if it's Saturday or Sunday.
Yep.
She can win the sprint title again, but very close behind her, Margot Ravenel and Julia Murado, who were 2nd and 3rd on the in Puy Saint Vincent, and they have been on the podium together. The 3 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4 times this season. The 3 of them on the podium, so
Wow.
that's kind of cool. They are leading. They are the top 3 in the sprint category: Margot, Julia, and Emily in that order. And it's quite exciting because there's actually only 42 points between Emily in 3rd place and Margot in 1st. So there's all to play for this, and that means the overall ranking is what I mean, and it's all to play for this weekend. So that's exciting. And Caroline Ulrich and Tatiana Paller made up the top 5 of the women's sprint in Puy Saint Vincent. Interestingly, again, people that we didn't see, well, Mariana Jegorchikova was 6th, Johanna Hiemer 7th, Celia Perea-Pessé 8th, and Marianne Faton, after her Grand Slam, was 12th.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. Thanks. And good research, Catie, to give us that perspective with the, pressure's on going into the final World Cup and World Championships. Maybe we should just mention that now briefly. This is in Villars. It's, I think, April 1st through the 5th. So listeners, by the time you hear this, some of these races will be going. Again, ISMF YouTube, you'll hear Catie on there, probably some full races, some highlights. We can come back next time with some analysis of it. But Catie, anything you're expecting from this venue and this event coming up here?
Well, Villars is an amazing place. It's and we've just had fresh snow here. I'm only an hour away, so we've had 2 days of snow. So hopefully hopefully over the mountain they've had the same. And it's brilliant. They've got lots of experience. They ran a World Championships in 2019 and they've had lots of experience. So it's kind of exciting because it's a really, well, 2 things. Villars is amazing because you go up the Col de Bretagne in the train and you get out and there is just all the, all the courses are there. So it's kind of cool to get there. It's a really great spot. But it's been such a weird season. And I noted some of the weird things of the season, if you don't mind indulging me, that will sort of lead to this being quite an interesting final.
Yeah.
So there were some of the main players missing in solitude. So that has, a lot of these this has affected a lot of the rankings. There were no French in Azerbaijan, and some of the other main players, so Ariel Cardona Cole, Anna Alonso, not in Azerbaijan. Others were flown home early,
Mm.
so didn't compete in the last races. We had one sprint cancelled in Andorra. We had an individual cancelled in Puy Saint Vincent. And to add to it all, we obviously had the Olympics chucked in the middle there, which
Yeah.
meant that, as we've seen with the likes of Max and Cam, that was it. They were done. They were just said, enough. I've built to this point and I'm done. Then we've had the Pierramenta. We know we've got the PDG coming up, which only happens every 2 years. And there are some athletes I know, certainly I know of the Swiss athletes that are, going for some titles there. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this sort of plays out, if you like, this week in Villars. Who's going to be there? Who's gunning for the overall titles, the sprint titles?
Mm.
And I just think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you. What a build up, and I look forward to watching as a fan, and then talking about it afterwards. It'll be interesting to see how everything comes together.
Mm.
And to maintain, as an athlete, to maintain that the fitness and the form and the sharpness, but also just like the enthusiasm through all of this, particularly with the Olympics being a big new thing for everyone. I think that's a dynamic challenge, but I mean, on the other hand, these top athletes, they're pros, and they know what to do. They know how to do a lot, and maybe that brings us to the other big Europe race last week, the Tour du Rutor Extreme. And I noticed as I was going through the results, I almost got confused. I was like, how did these athletes, they were doing, I see the same names in World Cup and Tour de Rutor, and yes, it happened. So for example, Alba de Silvestro and Axelle, Gachet, and maybe some others as well, on March 25th and 26th, they did the World Cup with the individual and vertical, and then they had a rest day, or probably a transport day, on the 27th, and then the 28th and 29th was the Tour de Rutor, which again, epic 2-day stage race. It's a key part of La Grande Course circuit. This was the 22nd edition, and it's 2 big days. The men's winning time was over 5 hours, so we're talking a lot of vert, and it looks epic. So the men's race, as you mentioned before, first was Davide Bagnini and, as you mentioned, Paltzer. Second, the typical combo of Gachet and Bonmardion, up there yet again. And then third was Samuel Aki and, as you mentioned, Anselme Damavine.
Yeah.
And very close. All those teams were within a minute, top 3 within 1 minute after over
Yeah.
5 hours, which is wild. And then on the women's side, first place, Axelle, Mollaret, and Alba de Silvestro. And I did. Do you know, Catie? Have they raced together before? Obviously, France and Italy.
I'm not sure. I don't know that they
Yeah,
have. Certainly not that I can remember. But what a great combo! I mean, really exciting. Especially, Alba
yeah.
sort of shortened her focus to do the shorter disciplines for the Olympics, but has had a really. I sort of feel like she's just having a brilliant time because she did the Pierramenta, and then she's second behind Axelle twice this week. No, twice in the individual race,
Couple
and then third
podiums. Yeah.
in the vertical. Yeah, so kind of feel like she's sort of getting back into her first love, if you like.
Yeah, it was cool. And check out Alba de Silvestro's Strava. There's just a fun photo from the Tour du Rutor of it's everyone's like soft flasks, that you put your water or drink mix in, but a bunch of these Team Italy and they got their names on them. It's just a picture at a sink,
Yeah.
but I can't remember which names. I think it was Magnini and a couple more, but like clearly they were at
Oh,
some,
fun.
house or condo or something together. And it's like, well, everyone's got to rinse out your bottles. And here they
Yeah.
are, all the best athletes in the world. So, yeah, great job to them. And listeners, check out Alba's interview from February. It was super cool. I really enjoyed talking with her. So, second place for the women was Giulia Compagnoni and Noemi Junod, I think. Am I good on
Yes.
that pronunciation, Katie?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, and then third was Yaria Veronese and Corina Girardi. So great job to all of them, and again, pretty cool. I think that couple races 2 days, couple more races later. It was a big week. Alba's
It was.
Strava, I think, showed 28,000 vertical feet for the week and about 11 hours of skiing. So not many of these athletes will do more than that in a typical week, but that's a big week. All of that, was racing other than probably warm ups, a little bit of scouting. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's an intense training load for the week. Katie, any other thoughts on these Europe events before we shift over here to North America?
No, not at all. I was just thinking, though, that since we last spoke, we've also had, which I actually haven't looked up, so you're probably going to shoot me for bringing it into the conversation. But I think
No, go ahead.
The Asian Championships have already been,
Mm,
have
no,
been as
thank you.
well, and
Yeah.
the European Olympic Festival as well in
Mm,
Romania. So we've
okay.
had those two. It's been a busy, busy Skimo week.
Nice. Did you see those Asia results and what I'm sure we see China in there, Japan, what do you know what other countries were participating?
China, Korea, India, and mostly China in the
Mhm.
individual. Anyway, let's have a look. Yeah, I think that seems to be the um, mixed relay. Yeah, China and India, I think, is really huge Chinese turnout, actually. I mean, not
Yeah.
surprising given where it is, but yeah, that seems to be the entirety of it. Um, um, and then I was just kind of a quick look at the European Festival, mixed relay, yeah, Romania, Slovakia, Greece, that sort of, yeah, so really kind of a mix there. Um, yeah, seems to have been
Great.
lots going on for
Yeah.
everybody all over the place.
No, thank you for mentioning that. And that, I remember a year ago with the Youth World Championships, we saw a number of Chinese athletes, as I recall, in the
Mm,
various categories. And I'm guessing maybe it didn't even occur to me, but I think they weren't there over on the Puy because it sounds like they were at this Asia
yeah.
event. And I've speculated before, 4 years from now, as we look at the Olympics, I'm very curious to see countries from Asia, various other places in the world. They've got these youth programs. Very good athletes are up and coming. I think it's going to be cool to see who's out there and who's chomping at the bit for the podium.
Yeah, China and America, I'm telling you. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there. It's gonna
All
make it
right.
look very, very different to the first iteration. That's my prediction.
All right. I love it. Yeah, actually, listeners, go back. I think it was in December. It's only on YouTube. We had a YouTube special. Cam Smith sat down with a bunch of the young Americans of Team USA Skimo and did a great interview. It was in person at a team training camp. I think they were in Italy, but I'm not sure where. That's a really cool clip. I think you're probably seeing some future Olympians. I know some of those names we called off, McCall and Landon and some of the others I know were there. So check that out. It's pretty cool to see. I mean, these kids, like, they are so serious. They are so focused at age, as you know from your son. 16, 17, 18, 20, they're working hard. So it's pretty cool. All right, final couple of races. The North American Championship. This was at Kicking Horse in British Columbia. Let's start off with a quick quote. This is from Joe D'Amore. Listeners, go back, check out Joe's interview a few weeks ago. Joe from Colorado here, grew up in the one and only Buena Vista, Colorado, right up the street from me. And Joe went up to this race. He thought it was great. He said, it was nice to be out in the cold again for a bit. Joe, I hear you. Full on shorts and t-shirts here in Colorado. Catie, it was so great when you just said it's snowing. I'm like, hooray, it's snowing somewhere in the world, because it is not snowing in Colorado. And Joe said, really fun event, stout courses, legit Skimo, great snow. He said, would love to see more technical races like this one, and maybe a World Cup held at Steep Dreams someday. Steep Dreams was the race producer here. He says the Dogtooth Mountain Range and Kicking Horse have some amazing terrain, a beautiful area. And he says the team's race especially was one of my all-time favorite courses. So
Yeah.
high praise from Joe. The brief results that I know of in the vertical women's: first place, the one and only Emma Cook Clark; second, Kelly Wolf of USA; and third, Lauren Cantwell of USA. Shout out to Emma Cook Clark, ECC. Emma, over the last couple of years, working so hard for that Olympics berth, and it didn't. Team USA got it, Canada didn't get it. Both teams deserved it. So I'm glad to see Emma and Team Canada out there working hard, hitting back at it. Maybe Olympics next time or whatever. Just way to go, Emma. In the men's vertical, we just heard from him, Joe D'Amore, first place, Team USA; second place, Ethan Peters from Canada; and third, Maxime Corbeil from Canada.
Sorry, I interrupted you. He's from Quebec. One of the very
From
few
Quebec.
from that side of Canada.
There we go. That's right. Quebec. Gotta like the cool place to go. I've done a couple adventure races in that area. Beautiful. Let's see. The individual first, again, Emma Cook Clark; second, Kelly Wolf of Team USA. Way to go, Kelly. We're going to get Kelly on the podcast here sometime soon. And third, Ali Walford from Canada. And the men's individual, Maxime Corbeil was the victor, Joe D'Amore in second, and Ethan Peters in third. So way to go, everyone. There was a teams race as well. I can't find the results, but maybe by the time this is out, someone can find them. I did see that Emma and Allie raced together. I don't know what place they were. And they also there was a category called I think it was the Ski Duro. Kind of, I'm thinking maybe this is like the enduro, a mountain bike enduro race is a format where only the specific sections are timed, usually downhills. So I think maybe the Ski Duro, I'm guessing, may have been splits on the downhill, which is
Fun.
kind of fun if you're into that kind of thing.
I was just having a look at their website while you're chatting there, and what's really nice, what I love to see is when ski mountaineers sort of move to the next stage. We have it here in terms of, taking on organizing and so on. We have it here. Yannick Ecker is part of the organizing committee in Montjean, and, all over the place. And I just saw that the race director is Matt Reed and the technical director, Matt Ruta, both of whom we know from being Canadian representatives. Yep. And so I really like to see that when, ski mountaineers, or in any sport, but this is the one I love most, sort of use their knowledge and their experience and then pass it on and try and make something really amazing for those still on the circuit. So hooray, congratulations to them.
Yeah, good point, Catie. Yeah, shout out to all the race directors and organizers. I mean, very often that is probably harder than doing the racing. There's all this stress. There's all the organizing. I mean, here in the USA, there's so much to do with permits and red tape and resorts and inbounds and out of bounds. And then, the race comes, and especially in times like this in the USA, like the conditions make it so challenging, as the race day approaches. So yeah, great job to all of them. And the final race that happened, back to these challenging conditions, we gave you a little bit of a preview last week. The Elk Mountains Grand Traverse.
Oh, yes.
Again, listeners, check out our Grand Traverse episode from earlier this year. We tell you everything about the course and what you need to know. What we did not tell you in that episode is how to manage the situation if the first 12 of the 40 miles are running through dirt
12
and
miles.
grass, and 12 miles of running, Catie, and probably a lot of mud. I assume there must have been a slush zone where you're still running and there's kind of snow and there's not so. But yeah, I mean, that's 12 miles. That's a lot of, that's a long way to run. So
That's a
I
really long
think
one.
everyone started in running shoes. You got the skis on the back, you got the boots in your pack. This race already has a pretty extensive gear list because it literally is in a backcountry expedition. So you've got safety gear, you've got layers, you have to carry all these things to fix your skis. So add to that putting your boots in your bag and running 12 miles. Mostly uphill, not super steep, but especially at the front of the pack, I'm sure they were actually running. So that made the times understandably a bit slower this year. I think the men's winning time was mid 7 hours. Usually it's kind of 6 something. Once the skiing started, that was pretty mixed as well. I'm sure there was slush. There probably wasn't much wonderful, powder type skiing. But it's a journey, and this point to point adventure starting at midnight in Crested Butte, finishing the next day in Aspen. It's kind of unlike any other. And that was also seen this year. The finish line interviews. I mean, people are literally hanging out with t-shirts and sandals on, and like they're standing on this, grass there next to downtown Aspen. So cheers to anyone who towed the line in the Grand Traverse. Yeah, first place. Men's Cam Smith and Logan Gradanis. No surprises there. Good to see Cam do one last ski race this year, and I think these guys are best friends, and they wanted to do something together and support the local scene, especially in any year where it was harder. I assume there were fewer starters this year than usual, just based on the conditions and many Colorado athletes. Like, man, we're on to summer sports season here. First place women was Bree Keeley and Barry Beasley. Great job, ladies. I think they are both Crested Butte residents. And first in the co-ed, a pretty cool team, Catie. Maybe this is coming
Oh,
your way.
yes.
This was a parent-child team. We had dad Jesse Rickert and his daughter Brianna Rickert. So way to go, team. I think they were in the top 5 overall. I think I saw Jesse has over 15 Grand Traverse finishes right now, right up there with some of the legends. So way to go, everyone. And yeah, just glad to see Grand Traverse going. Check out the Grand Traverse Instagram if you want to see a bunch of pre-race and post-race interviews with participants. Let's see, Catie, that's about all I have those previous races. We got a few more coming here. We mentioned the Villars World Cup, big week for Catie. Go to that ISMF YouTube. You'll get to hear Catie going through all these races, the final World Cup and the World
Just
Championships.
2.
Excited to hear about that afterwards. What's that?
Just 2. Only 2 are being streamed, Saturday and Sunday, the sprint and the mixed relay. But I
Okay.
imagine they will do highlights for the others. I
Yep.
can't promise, obviously, because that's not my department. But
Yep.
yeah, no, it's going to be really cool.
Nice. And then let's see, we got, as we mentioned, the PDG is the week of April 14th. And here in Colorado, hopefully, fingers crossed, the website still shows it, the 5 Peaks race in Breckenridge, Colorado. Catie, I don't know if you've heard of this. It's epic. It's a Colorado classic. When the conditions are right and there's more snow, it goes to 5 of these peaks up and above the Breckenridge ski resort. for it. And, I think
Oh, wow.
probably I would guess all five are above 12,000 feet, maybe above 13,000 feet. And you start way down low, probably about 9,000 feet, get way up there, and then kind of go back and forth
Wow.
between these peaks. So it's epic. When the conditions are in, there's a few points where you have to jump off a cornice, and ski down some technical stuff. And all of that said, we shall see, because there may be a little more snow, but it's also pretty warm. So fingers crossed to Rocky Mountain Skimo. Hopefully 5 peaks will happen.
Can I make a
Uh,
little shout out though? Because I think you missed out somebody very
Absolutely.
important in your chat about, was it the Grand Traverse? Is that what it's called?
Hmm. Yep.
Second place in the mixed teams, Cam Smith's wife, Lynn, and her race partner, who
All
is
right.
just the loveliest. Like, they're the matching loveliest couple of all time.
Yeah.
So lovely.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say, well done to Lynn. So there you go.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Way to go, Lynn, and Lynn's partner. And, again, anyone out there, like, man, just that was less of a skimo race and truly more of an adventure race. That
Well,
much, that much
I'm
running.
afraid the
Yeah.
PDG, it certainly the PDG 2022 was like that. It was just, there's always a lot of walking out of Zermatt, but there was a lot that year, and a
Yep.
lot of work walking into Verbier, and it's the same thing. It starts in the middle of the night, and you appear at some point
Yep.
during the day, depending on how fast you are. But it's yeah, there's a lot of walking. In fact, PDG, quite often people start with trainers on. They start with their trainers on, boots
Mm.
strapped to their backs,
Yep.
and away they go. And it's a pair of trainers that you don't necessarily want to see again because you don't get them back.
Yeah. That's right. Is that the one you did, Katie? I think you did the PDG at least once. Is that
I
right?
did. I've done the big PDG in 2018, and I did the small one in 2022.
Well, Katie, thanks as always. It's been fun. Thanks for your expertise. Thanks for all
Pleasure.
the extra research and stuff. Excited to see the races you're calling this weekend, and to hear a bit more about them afterwards.
Yeah, me too. Can't wait. And could I just, I'm sorry, I have one more shout out because I know you're trying to wrap up, but there are a whole raft of commentators uh, that have seen, across all the channels you can think of, who have learned about Skimo in the last season, a couple of seasons. And I know how hard they've all worked and how much they have learned and how hard it is to take on a new sport. And I'm so thrilled to welcome them to the Skimo commentator family, because we weren't very many and now we are many. So a massive thanks to them,
Yeah,
and the work that goes into doing that, especially when it's a new sport, is absolutely insane. It's a huge amount of prep and work, and yeah. And I know they're all really excited and keen for the sport, and also they get really excited about their own nations and so on. So big shout out to them.
totally. Yeah, thanks for saying that, Katie. I've enjoyed that. Watching the ISM coverage, hearing some different voices, different accents. I think there's a real value, like you said, to have a range of nationalities involved in the commentary. And indeed, it's a lot of work, folks. A lot of research to, even if it's a 3-minute race, there's hours and hours of prep involved getting ready for that. Alrighty. Well, thanks, Katie.
Pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Skimo Gold. This is the premier podcast and YouTube show for ski mountaineering interviews and race analysis. You can hear us on audio. You can see us on YouTube. If you haven't checked out the YouTube, look at it at Skimo Gold. There's a bunch of shorts on there as well. And be sure to check out Instagram at Skimo Gold. We've got reels and highlights and clips and stories, everything you need. Speaking of the Instagram, as I said at the top of the show, the first person who sends me a direct message on Instagram to at Skimo Gold telling me the answer to the trivia question will get this Skimo Gold podcast hat. I would love to send it off to you. And again, the question was, someone from this episode appeared in a reality TV show in 2003. Tell me who that person was and the title of the reality TV show. Little hint, think about the ages of the people mentioned, most of these athletes were not old enough for a reality TV show. Many of them were not even born in 2003. So see if you can figure it out. Another hint, it's not me or Catie. It's someone else mentioned in this episode. Thanks as always to Camp for supporting the Skimo Gold podcast. I started using Camp helmets, packs, gloves, and more over 20 years ago in adventure racing and then in ski mountaineering. It's great stuff. I'm going on a little hut trip this week into the Colorado backcountry. It's going to be mixed conditions. I don't know if I'm going to ski at all. It might just be hiking and running, but that's okay. What I do know is I will be using my Camp G-Comp warm gloves, which are great in dynamic conditions because they can be very warm with the mitten or not warm without the mitten. And my fingers are nice and dexterous for those Skimo transitions, and maybe even in this case for tying up the laces of my running shoes. Thanks as always to Camp. Thanks also to Palm Tree Podco production company. Great job with the audio and video. If you're ever hosting a podcast or interview or something that you need to be super professional, check out Palm Tree Podco. And thanks to you, the listeners. Thank you for helping us build this, for helping us grow the community. Share these episodes, if you would, with your friends on the podcast player. Hit that subscribe button, hit that review button, give us a rating. Those really help us, even if you take 10 seconds. Super helpful. And please be sure to subscribe and watch us on YouTube at Skimo Gold as well. I'm your host, Travis Macy. You can find me at travismacy.com. That is books, keynotes, endurance coaching, and more. And you can find our guest, Catie Friend, at Catie Friend on Instagram, Catie with a C. That is lots of good stuff going on. Always appreciate Catie coming along. So thank you. All right, folks, have a good one. We will catch you next week on Skimo Gold.